So this is a continuation really of the last video where we had Bob, well, I had a FPS controller and I've got Bob being fired into the air, but when I shoot more Bobs. I shoot them straight up, and I thought there was a few other things that I could just meaningfully go over. Let's go back to the script and have a quick look. So this is the script that shoots the Bob, and let's just have a quick look again at the time aspect. That might be interesting. I doubt we'll change it much, but it's worth thinking about. What we've got, we start off with time as a 0.0 decimal number, and every time we do this update line, it adds on what the difference is, the delta time from last time. Yeah, that's right. And it then checks if we are past the 0.5 seconds mark. So if the fire button has been pressed and we're greater than 0.5 seconds into last time we pressed the fire button, then we do the thing down here. And you can see we reset the next fire to 0 down here. Not going into the fine detail of exactly how those things work, but you can kind of get the idea. Then this instantiate, the word instantiate, I said it means spawn really. We instantiate the projectile thing, that's where we dragged Bob on by the Bob prefab. And we have to specify a position and a rotation for the thing that we instantiate. And what it's using is the current transform's position and rotation. So the FPS controller is passing on where Bob is going to be spawned and which way he's going to be facing. So he's always going to be facing the same way as us. It's a bit annoying because he's actually spawning right on top of us, which is causing all those horrible physics things. They're not behaving properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly modify that position. I'm going to say transform position plus, and then I'm going to say we also have something which is the current direction that we are facing, which is the forwards, transform.forward, and we can add that on. Now that is going to be like 1 meter in front of us, I guess. I'm just going to multiply by 2 and we'll see what happens. So it's an XYZ, but this forward is always in the direction that we're facing. So if I save that and hit play on here, it'll be interesting to see if that even works. So we'll still have the main Bob. Did I hit play? Wakey wakey. We'll still have the main Bob flying into the air. There he goes. But when I click fire, yeah, so they're being fired from directly in front of me. But they're being fired always in the same direction, and the reason for that, of course, is that our Bob, let's get out of here, our Bob script is doing this XYZ, which doesn't change. So I'm actually going to revert back to the original thing that we had here. Oh, so annoying when it does that. Here we are. Instead of doing thrust X, thrust Y, thrust Z, I'm just going to fire it at whichever way the new Bob is currently facing, which interestingly will be, of course, we know the same direction as the FPS controller that spawned him, because we specified that when we spawned him. So transform dot forward, and I seem to remember it is times thrust, and we'll need to get rid of thrust X, thrust Y, thrust Z, and just have a thrust instead. And let's see what that does. So if I go back to Bob, now you may be saying that I'm changing Bob, not the prefab, but the Bob and the prefab both have the same script attached to them. I only change the script to one place. So if I change this thrust to 20, say, and hit play and start shooting some more Bobs, so the initial Bob will not go as far. Or did he? Where is he? I know, he just kind of fell over. So if I shoot a Bob, they don't seem to be getting any thrust in particular at all, do they? They are spawning right in front of me. There you go, but they're not going forwards. Why is that? Did I change the thrust? I did. And in here, transfer on start. Let's just try a really big number for this thrust, shall we? Let's try 1,000. Let's see what happens. I have found this, if you do it as just thrust versus thrust.x and y and z, different kinds of values. So if I shoot, no, that's interesting. In all honesty, maybe then it should have been down here on this one. There you go. That wasn't what I changed. I changed, it's actually instructive, so I'll keep this in the video. I changed the thrust value for the bob up here, but I didn't change the thrust value for the bob prefab. So although they're using the same script, they're not using the same value which is being passed. So if I give it a thrust of 100, so bob will only get a relatively small thrust, there he goes, and then I shoot my other bobs. It's not going as fast as I want. Let's make them go real fast, shall we? You know, one of the advantages of doing game development is you get to have fun. Let's shoot some fast bobs. And bang. Bow, 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 bow. And how about I take off that hugely boring rate of fire limiter, fire delta 0. Ha. See what happens now, shall we? Let's fire us some bobs. There they go. Can you have more fun than that? I don't know. Anyway, so I think that's brought up a couple more points that probably I should have brought up in the last video.